Hey there, fans, folks, families, and friends. If you are joining us again for episode number 3 here at our Curling Alberta's bravest and best and riskiest broadcast, the home end, then you have found us through, of course, Curling Alberta's YouTube channel. And you might be watching live or recorded, but nonetheless, you found yourself here because I know throughout all of the events that have happened this weekend, including the 2024 Alberta Boston Pizza Cup and our new and I guess now reigning and current champion, Team Sluchinski, you are really excited to see what's in store. Now, we have a ton of business here to catch up on. There have been tons of things happening across the country and across Alberta in regards to curling, and so we'll catch you up to date with that. My name is Evan Asmussen. I am the host of The Home End, and I'm here at my home in Edmonton, Alberta, and I welcome you to our online home here at Curling Alberta. Now, before I begin, I'd like to take some time to do our land acknowledgement. We're playing around and learning a little bit with some of our graphics to enhance your viewership and to enhance, the process of our podcast. So bear with me as I'm maneuvering some systems here. So before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today, and while we meet today on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands, which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. Please join me in a moment of reflection to acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and to consider how we are and can each in our own way try to move forward in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. So I know that there is a ton of excitement around curling right now in our country. We have the Montana's Brier coming up just around the bend. We have the 2024 Scotties coming up here at the end of the week. But we also have a ton of things that just happened in our most recent past that I want to make sure we acknowledge before we continue on, and that is with our section of Home and Beyond. Now, we had 4 Alberta teams that represented our province at the U18 National Championship in Ottawa, and they all had a marvelous result. We have Team Hebert, Team Lushik, Team De Schiffert, and Team Whitbread, and all 4 teams made it to the quarterfinals with excellent records. However, due to great competition across the nation, our 4 teams found themselves just shy of making those final stages, but we really want to commend them for the hard work that they accomplished throughout the week. We are so impressed with the youth in our sport. We are noticing that our provincial championships are getting younger and stronger. They are being supported with a wealth of knowledge and resources at their coaching staff, and their community members are really stepping up to provide them what they need to be successful, not only here in our provincial championships, but also when they step away and step outside of our borders to compete nationally. So we truly want to commend those 4 teams. They did a wonderful job. And actually, I believe that it was Team Whitbread who took the consolation A, and Team Lushik, if I'm saying that right, and I apologize, who took the consolation A after their quarterfinal results. So congratulations to all 4 of those teams. We are super impressed. Over the past couple of weeks, Curling Alberta has posted some amazing championships, and we saw our 2 most recent with our live streams and our live stream broadcasting that was brought to you all 4 sheets in your homes. We had the 2024 Sentinel Storage Alberta Scotties, and just this past weekend, the 2024 Boston Pizza Cup that was presented by Best Western. And those live streams that you were able to see were hosted by a ton of amazing commentators and amazing community members. And so we do want to make sure that we give them the round of applause that they deserve. They're stepping outside to bring, inside, to bring sport into your homes, to give you another perspective. And without them, we would truly not have the insight that we deserve in our homes to see this amazing play in action. Hosting is an incredible job. And this past weekend, I had the opportunity to not only observe, but compete at the 2024 Boston Pizza Championship. And the setup that they had was amazing. those 2 championships had incredible organizing committees. And so I want to make a huge thank you on behalf of Curling Alberta and to all Canadians across our nation who are looking and seeing the insides of these provincial championships. I want to make sure they know that these events are fantastic and how incredible the people are that back them. So congratulations to the St. Paul Curling Club, Troy Bone and Andrea. We want to thank you so much for your contribution for that event. It was absolutely incredible, and we're wishing Team Sturmey the most greatest success at the Scotties coming up. And this past weekend with the Hinton, at the Hinton Curling Club, we had Dwayne Wright and Sherry French. We really want to thank you for bringing in your communities and for establishing curling back at the heart of your community too as well. We all felt appreciated. I know that the citizens and the viewers really enjoyed their time, and kudos to you, because without your successes and without your organization, these events truly don't happen. So thank you so much. Now, I know that you're sitting here waiting to hear from our special guest, and we have tons to talk about. So before I let Aaron in so we can chat about all things this weekend, all things curling, I want to remind you that today is the opening day. You're probably sick of it. Your pockets are slowly getting empty with all these 50-50s, but I have one enticing piece. Today is the opening day for the Scotties 50-50 big grand draw with the guaranteed jackpot of $50,000. So if you're ready to bet big, and if you're not already going to bet big on our amazing representatives, then this is an opportunity for you to score another way. So check that out as you are approaching the week of the Scotties. I know that there's going to be great curling coming up. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce us to, of course, our newest provincial championship skip, tongue twister, Aaron Sluchinski. So give me a hot second here, and I'm going to add him into our chat room here. Aaron, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Brilliant. Welcome to the home end. Welcome to our online home, and thank you for inviting us into your home.
Thanks for having me, Evan.
Aaron, now I know it has been a week. That is a week of curling starting on February 7th, that Tuesday. You and your team managed to make your way through almost every draw up until the final draw. How are you feeling? How are you celebrating? What's been going through your mind? What's been going through your home?
Pretty excited. Lots going on. Lots of stuff just coming at us, like this and other interviews and all sorts of paperwork and whatever. And yeah, trying to just get through it all with a little bit of a hangover here.
Well, you know what? It's super important to be able to celebrate those moments. And you guys had a huge celebration. You have an incredible team that's backed you this whole entire week, but also for the last couple of years. And I know that some of your successes have now paid their dues in this big championship. And we're really excited to get your insight on some of the processes that you've went through, but also your beginnings as a young athlete. So, Aaron, one thing that we notice across the board is that curling is starting to look different in people's homes and how they approach the game and how they enter the game. And we're really curious to find out, how did you get started in curling?
Oh, well, growing up, I played a lot of soccer and hockey, like to run around pretty fast and whatever, but spent a lot of time around the curling club because my dad curled all the time. And I was just always interested in trying anything. And about 10 years old, got on the ice with him and yeah, started competing in some events, and I don't know, went to the first couple events and there was a lot of cute girls around. So that kept me interested and kept playing, and then started winning a little bit, and everything.
Just one thing led to the other is what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah. And once you start winning, everything's even more fun.
Well, when we were talking last week with Chloe and with Ali, they also mentioned that same start too as well. They played a ton of sports, but then motivation changes too as well. And like you said, as you start winning championships and as you start getting a little bit of success, you have to start crafting and molding the different ways you want to succeed and what types of events you want to succeed in. And in 2008, you won your first, I would say, larger championship, which was your junior championship. And that opportunity has kind of spiraled you into, I guess, a championship team and a championship player. So what have you been able to do since 2008 in curling that has allowed you to come up here in 2024 and win a men's provincial championship?
Yeah, that win in 2008 was huge. It kept the fire going a little bit, but then I don't know, started needing to make some money, so started working and not curling as much, just playing a little more casual. And then actually, when I started playing the mixed doubles with Brittany a few years ago, ended up playing against some top level curlers that I seen on TV all the time, and I felt like I was hanging in there with them. So that really reignited me. I was like, I feel like I can compete at this level. So then try to put together a more serious team, and we've put in a lot of work over the last couple of years, and now I think we made it a little bit.
Now, Aaron, you mentioned that as you have been playing, you've been interacting with different people, you've been learning a lot from some of the best, but you've been growing relationships with them. Lots of people in the province don't realize how difficult it is to form a team. It's no longer our community-based teams, and we actually have to step outside of our local communities to find not just the caliber of athletes that we want to play with or that we want to work alongside, but also just to find people who are interested in curling at the same rate that one might be. How do all four of you on your team manage your lives and do that work-life balance?
Well, we got set our goals in the summer and commitment levels, and then we got to work around that and what everybody's willing to put in, and became a little more difficult over the last little bit, just because I have a young family, a couple kids, and then Kerr has a new baby, and so does Dylan. So yeah, we're spending lots of time away from our families, but I think we're doing pretty well to balance it all.
Now, how do the families feel about this big championship? I know it's a sacrifice, but overall pretty excited?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's probably good for them to see a little bit of a payoff here for us being gone all the time.
You say that so nonchalantly, but you're right. The sport isn't, great, especially at amateur level or at a tier 2 level, or when you're not an elite athlete or an elite team. You don't see a lot of the reward often. And so having these successes like you've just accomplished, it is a big payout for everybody that supports you, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like you can go talk to your sponsors a little more and be like, hey, look at what we did today. Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
It's better when
you're
you're
going to
winning.
get a little bit of airtime too as well. So you've now with this live stream coverage and then also with the Briar itself, like your community is going to see, you're going to be visible a little bit more.
Yeah. Not someone that likes to be that visible, but excited to see how it all transpires over the next month or so.
Well, you're doing great here so far, and we really do appreciate you have some great insights. And of course, you have done a lot of things that you haven't really mentioned that have grown you as an athlete yourself. In this past year, you were able to win not just this provincial championship, but one previously that maybe went undercover. And that was your mixed doubles championship with your wife, Amanda. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, Amanda was a competitive curler. That's actually how we met. Met in juniors a long time ago, and then met in college and ended up getting married. And then she took time off when like to work and raise kids and stuff. And then she wanted to get back into the competitive stuff. And yeah, so last year I played the mixed doubles provincials with her, and we were decent. And then I don't know, worked with her quite a bit this year, and yeah, she took the next step, and we were able to win a championship there. So we get to go to Fredericton at the end of, or the middle of March, right after the Briar.
That's going to be pretty neat. And I heard you say, Aaron, that you worked with her, but I'm starting to notice that maybe there's a pattern on the opposite here. Like this is your first provincial championship as men's play, and it just coincidentally happens to be in the year that you started playing with your wife. So for those viewers out there, maybe mixed doubles isn't all that bad. Maybe you should play with your partners once in a while and get a different perspective, or maybe, just maybe, she actually is right more than not.
Yeah.
Now, Aaron, yeah, she's probably laughing in the background going, what is going on here? But speaking of her as a teammate, you have an incredible lineup alongside you, and I just want to bring them up here. So this is your current lineup. It's you and Jeremy Harty, Kerr Drummond. You have Dylan Webster, and of course your coach, Micky Pendergast. But you've had tons of different teams. You've had many renditions of your teams, and you alluded to the fact that a lot of forming these teams as relationships from previous events, but also that work-life balance. How did the four of you come together through all of those aspects?
Yeah, me, Dylan, and Kerr have played together for the last 7 or 8 years, and I mean, we're best buddies. Me and Dylan stood up in Kerr's wedding. We're great friends, so we were able to play together the last 7-8 years, and then we decided we wanted to take it to the next level. And Jeremy was a skip that was having a lot of success, and we made it a mission to go and poach him, which I don't know. Yeah, I didn't think he would say yes, but he ended up saying yes, and yeah, it's been awesome. He fits right in. It's perfect.
And so you mentioned that adding in Jeremy really was a catalyst for your team, and it kind of took your team to the next level, or allowed you to move forward in your competition. And I guess as the Brier approaches and as the provincial championships start to end, we're probably going to see a shuffling of some teams here pretty soon. Thinking about that and thinking about the health of our province and this past provincial championship, what do you notice about the teams that you're competing against? How have they changed? How different are they? How have they grown to alongside you?
Yeah, the teams are all solid. Like at this Alberta Boston Pizza Cup, I don't know. Me and Rolly were chatting a little bit, and I think there's only like 3 guys in the whole event that are older than me, which is crazy because when I started playing in these, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years ago, it seemed like there was lots of older guys, and now it's all young teams, and they're fiery and they're good, and yeah, see lots of the young guys are taking over, and it's good to see.
That was one thing I noticed too, as well, is that the field was extremely young, but also they all have a wealth of knowledge, understanding, and they're just so good from whatever experiences they've been able to grab in a short time. And you mentioned from years past, and so being in a Boston Pizza Cup and being in the playoffs is not new to you. But something that is a little bit different, or that looked a little bit different from this past weekend, is the last time, I guess I shouldn't say the last time, because last year, I believe you were in the final with Ted Appleman. But the last time that you were able to lead a team into the championship weekend, taking a look at this screen, what are you noticing and what are you seeing in the field of play?
Well, no more Martin, and he was probably the greatest of all time. So
Right.
makes the province actually winnable.
Yeah, fair.
But you still got Kevin Cooey. Like when I look at that, there's definitely one team that doesn't belong there, and that would definitely be me. That was definitely like a miracle run. It was wild that we were able to get into the 1-2 game with the amount of talent that was in that field. That was 11 years ago, and we were just babies out there.
Right.
I remember we cracked 4 on Cooey in the first end in I believe the B semi or something, and I don't know. There was one point where all of a sudden Ben Hebert and Mark Kennedy come flying into the arena just to see what the heck was going on, and we're just still drawing. We're just drawing our hearts out to just get as many rocks in play as possible because we know we can't hit. So they're just over there chirping us. They're like, "Why aren't you hitting rocks out? You're up 4." It's like, well, we're not good enough. You just need to keep junking it up. And I think we won that game like 10-7 or something crazy like that. But yeah, it was just a wild ride, and I don't know, it was a good experience for us to get. Definitely lit a fire. Like, I don't know, we just thought that at least we can compete at this level to some degree, and playing against like guys that we idolized our whole careers. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what I notice about even looking at this past graphic here and your past provincial championships is when you put yourselves in those positions to play some of the top teams, and even though you might not be able to succeed against them immediately, with some luck, like you mentioned, you're able to. But the more you can put yourselves in those positions, you're going to learn, you're going to adapt, you're going to grow some resiliency. And then eventually you start being able to compete alongside them. And then it turns into actually beating them. And speaking of kind of your pathway throughout this provincial championship, you work your way again through the B qualifier for this one. You had a first game win against Team Dunbar. Then you lost out to Team Sturmey. You were able to roll off a couple of wins against Team Webb and Team Adams, and then you met Team Sturmey in the B final. How were you able to take that loss against one of Alberta's top teams and be able to translate it into a win, and then also maybe a little bit of momentum moving into the final weekend?
I think just our desire to win. We weren't taking a loss as we were just refusing to lose. Against Karsten, those guys, we just have great battles all the time. So
Right.
I feel like our head-to-head battle or record is like 10-10 or something. Like, it's no one wins twice in a row against each other. So I don't know, kind of drew on that. Like, yeah, they beat us, but we probably get the next one, and then they might get the one after that. It's always a good battle out there. And then once you win that game and get into the 1-2 game, then it's you got a clearer path to the final.
Well, and you keep talking about like the next one, and that these once you start competing against those top teams, there are just so many small differences that can really give you the edge. But your team this week was definitely known for having an incredible edge, which was some precise shot making, but also taking on some complex shots. And I have a hot little video here of some incredible shot making. And this wasn't just a one-off, Aaron. This was all week. And once you found your groove, my goodness, it was like you were on fire and unstoppable. So this is from our final game here. But this was, of course, you throwing, but it wasn't just you all week. Your teammates were just rifling off incredible shots after that. So how do you prepare? How do you plan? How do you train to be able to compete, but also make moments where those high pressure shots just have to be played and have to be made?
Well, just lots of time practicing together. We get Micky Pendergast, our coach, on the ice with us, helping us out, and a few others from Curling Canada helped us out a little bit. And yeah, you got to just keep throwing and working through those shots and how it's going to react on the ice, and all the communication. Like, last year was kind of our first real year giving it a real go, and we just practiced a ton on technical and stuff, but we find that our technical's in a pretty good spot now. Now we just work on all the finer tuning now, like all the little things, like make sure our communication's clear, because it makes a big deal on precise shots. Yeah.
Well, and you also mentioned like the resources that you have access to. And so when you recognize that you have to take some time to be technically better and to communicate better, and once you've got those down pat, you're able to kind of work on some of the fine details. You mentioned the involvement of Micky Pendergast. Now, Micky in his own right is a phenomenal player, and also he has coached many teams at provincials, at playdowns. And I'm really curious to find out how Micky was absorbed into your team, how he fits into your team, because we know of him and how incredible he is, and the asset he is to curling in Alberta. And so how did he land on your lineup?
Yeah, so I'm the male athlete representative for the curlers on a committee with Curling Alberta,
Right.
and Micky's actually the chair of that committee. So I work with Micky there and just chatting through those conversations and stuff. I don't know. Our brains are wired the same way, and I was just drawn to Micky and ended up seeing if he would work with us, and yeah, it's awesome to be able to draw on his experience, and I feel like he's got one of the best tactical and logical minds out there in the curling world. So just getting all that knowledge to help us is huge, and he's also very strong at the team dynamics and pushing us to focus on all the right things at the right times. He's a huge asset for our team.
Well, and speaking of huge assets, now I don't want to boost egos too highly because I know you have a major championship coming up, but your teammates are absolutely top notch. They have been preparing just like you with their own home end, with their own background in the sport. And this weekend, one thing that our commentators and the viewers really noticed was how impressed they were with Kerr Drummond. And I mean, with shots like this in the final, how can you not be?
Yeah, Kerr can he can whip it. Like that guy can throw so much weight, it's wild, and he's pretty precise with it. It's a huge weapon. As soon as I started playing with him 7, 8 years ago, I was like, I think I can use this weapon to my advantage, and it's crazy. This was my 11th try at this Boston Pizza Cup to go to a Brier, and this was Kerr's actual first time that he actually got to come out here, and you could tell he was the missing ingredient that our team needed to take the next step.
Well, and you know what? I know for lots of our viewers who are joining us tonight who watched right throughout the end, I mean, surpassing all of the excitement, it's also an emotional ride, and you can see the investment. And Kerr has made an investment in making his way to Canada from Scotland to be able to not only build a life, but also to be able to do curling the way that he believes it to be.
Yeah, it was a long journey. I think it took him 10 or 11 years to come over here and get his citizenship, and now he's finally able to compete with us. And yeah, it's gonna be so exciting to get to the Brier, and I know he's super excited.
Well, and you know what? I know we want to highlight all of the amazing things, especially when we see them on the reels, but you have a teammate who is often, I guess I would consider playing the same position as him as a silent killer. And he goes out there and he does his job, and that's in Dylan Webster. And that final performance yesterday, he was top notch. And you wouldn't know based upon his his demeanor and the way he works, how elite he actually is. And it seemed like every end your team was set up with just such precision to be able to, I guess, win the championship. Tell me a little bit more about Dylan and how he's able to perform, how he fits on this team, and not only, and your friendship too as well.
Yeah, I feel like Dylan's he's taken a massive step forward this year. He's always on the ice. He's throwing every night, and I mean, your lead's not going to win you games, but they can lose them. And
Right,
he's not doing like he's not losing games for us out there. He's
right.
putting us in a good position to win games, and yeah, it's huge when you can get those first two rocks in a good spot. Then it dictates the whole rest of the end, and yeah, he's been awesome.
Yeah. Now, Aaron, I know that you've been kind of mapping out your competition. There were some combinations of ways that your team was able to get to the Brier this year. Some relied on the winning of the provincial championship. Another was through a series of events and through the wild card spot. And you've probably been thinking about this opportunity too, as well, in whichever position it might be. Um, Thinking about the field at the Brier and thinking about the quality of your team and the consistency of your team. How are you feeling for the Brier in a couple of weeks?
feeling pretty confident, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like we belong. We've played all these teams before, and we've had success against most of them at some point. So we know we can beat every team out there. We just got to show up and be as precise as we were this week
Right.
at the Brier. And I was just looking at the draw today, and looks like we get to face off against Kevin Cooey in our first draw again. So
Oh,
3
easy.
times in a
Easy.
row, got to play. Yeah.
Now, the 2024 Montana's Briers in Regina, and you talked about having all these keys and all these pieces, and you feel like you have it put together. But now, of course, you've got the magnitude of the Brier. You've got the magnitude of viewership, of spectators, of expectations, both maybe your own personal, but also just the routine and the schedule of being at the Brier. What is your team going to do in the meantime to prepare for that week?
I think just practice, just make sure we can put a good product on the ice. The other stuff, it's hard to prepare for. I think you just got to go in with an open mind and some excitement, and just live in the moment and just take it all in. Like it's going to be our first real Brier experience together, and we're just looking forward to every part of it. So we're going there with just to take it all in, and hopefully we can put a good product on the ice as well.
Well, Aaron, I know the viewers that are watching this live right now, all 44 of them, and the viewers that are going to come back and watch this too as well, they're really interested. They're really supporting. They're wanting to see how your team is going to perform. But I know also too, they're a little curious about your team. And I think this will be a really great opportunity for them to not just see you in small doses at slam events or here in the province, but to have a clearer picture of you, Team Sluchinski, and of course, Team Alberta. Now, in that curiosity, I'm going to show our viewers the last shot here. If they didn't see it last night, then they're going to see it here. If they're joining us through audio or on Spotify, then they're not going to see the video. But Aaron, you had kind of a different look for the win. You were facing essentially the loss, the tie, and the win all at once here. How do you navigate, think about the decision, choose a shot for something so substantial as a provincial championship on the line?
Well, the first and immediate thought that went into my mind was this back one was almost edge to edge with the front one. So I'm like, I don't really want to hit the back one because I could just chisel that top one and lose the game.
Right.
And I'd thrown that out turn board waiter on the top one twice already in this game. So I was pretty confident I could make it. But if I nosed it, I have to go to an extra. I have to roll in. So these just go through your mind so fast. And what was worse was we had no time on the clock. So I was like, oh my God, I can't even really think through all the things. So I kind of put the broom down to hit the top one. And then Jeremy's like, you could just hit the back one. I'm like, sure, let's just do it. So then that kind of took any overthinking out of my mind. And he put the broom down. I sat in the hack, and I liked the broom. So I'm just like, let's just throw a git. And then threw it solid. And then Jeremy and the boys managed it the way perfect down the ice, and we were able to hang on for the win.
Well, I love, Aaron, that you mentioned that to our viewers, because of course we all grow up in sport wanting to be able to at least have a shot to win a championship. And some people, of course, don't get that control like we saw in the provincial final for the women's, where, of course, one team has the opportunity to win it on a final shot, but also can lose it too as well. And your opposition too as well doesn't get control of their destiny in that final shot. They can only do so much. But you brought up a really great point about not overthinking it, or in those moments you're trying to find a way to make it good or to make it better for yourself, or to think about everything that you've worked for and worked towards, not only in that game, but years past, to be able to just show up and do it in that final shot. And I really like that you mentioned to our viewers at home and our young viewers that to simplify things, to keep it simple, to recognize that it's not a moment of overthinking, and just to be able to kind of live in that moment, but know what you know and do what you do best. And that's something that you do really well.
Yeah,
Now,
you don't want too much going on in your head for sure. That's part of the reason I've always been very fast when I curl. I just get in the hack and throw it, because if you sit there too long, sometimes your thoughts can be your own worst enemy.
Yeah, no, that's good advice, and that's a good point to make. Now, Aaron, I know we're coming up on our time here this evening, and we do something fun with all of our players to get our crowd and our viewers behind you, to back you up, but also to give us a little bit more insight. So I want to do something fun with you. It's called Aaron's Goes or Woes, and I've got 3 little tidbits. There may be curling related, there may be not. You can share some insight on it. You can just say, get this off the screen, I don't want to talk about this, whatever you want to do. But I've got 3 random things that I want you to just randomly say go, like you hit it, it's yours, you love it, or woe as in, it's not my cup of tea. So the first one for our viewers and for me is pre-qualifying Brier teams. Goes or woes?
Go. My thoughts are actually you should have 6 pre-qualifiers to make the same 18 team field, but I don't know, you'd have to eliminate some of the other provinces or territories to do that.
Well, I guess, and maybe it'll just keep increasing the level of play at the national championship.
Yeah,
Okay.
it opens up the provinces a little bit more too.
And you know what? I think for somebody like me and a lot of the competitors that were playing alongside you, though it might be the opposite or not felt the same way in other provinces or territories, you know, just having that feeling of breathing room compared to what we saw from 2013, where it was elite, and feeling like you're going there and potentially having a chance to perform. Yeah, I hear you. Alrighty, so it's a go. Now, our second one here. The bye to the final. Go or woe?
I don't know what the context is here.
Well, it could be just getting to go to the final through your championship, not having to win in through the semifinal, just get the bye to the final. You don't have to play that extra game. Maybe it's in a round robin and your round robin win puts you into that final. Thoughts? Go or woe?
Yeah, go on any
Yeah?
kind of round robin. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So loving the bye to the final. Okay, here's the last one. You can tell me to go fly a kite if you want to. There you go. In the spirit of the Super Bowl and all things social media and media, are Team Sluchinski members Swifties?
Definitely.
Okay. You're giving a little insight. I'm sure our viewers are going to have to ask questions, find out more. And you know what, for anybody listening across Canada, if you are going to the 2024 Montana's Brier in Regina, then maybe, just maybe, if you're at a meet and greet with Team Sluchinski, you're going to be able to ask them what their favorite T-Swift song is. Aaron, I thank you so much for joining me this evening. I know you have lots of celebrating to do. I know you're ready to go back to your family and to work. Wink, wink. But we're all excited and we're all supporting you on behalf of the competitors, on behalf of Curling Alberta and the viewers here. We really and truly want to see you succeed, you and your Alberta counterparts, and we are ready for that matchup that you said between Team Kui. If you'd like to follow along, here is Team Sluchinski's Instagram handle. So you're able to add them up, follow along with their social media. I'm sure that's going to take off here pretty soon. You're going to get maybe 49 new followers tonight, Aaron.
Perfect. Bring them
Okay,
on.
now before you go, Aaron, I'm going to close out our podcast. And so I'll keep you along with me for the ride. But once again, a reminder to all of our viewers and to all people across Canada, if you would love to participate in the 50-50, the grand pot opens up $50,000 grand prize to begin with. I shouldn't say grand prize, but to begin with, guaranteed. I also want to take a moment to thank all of the people at Curling Alberta who were able to make this podcast a reality. We're bringing curling faces, our champions, our community members into the homes of our viewers. So I really want to thank Brittany Anderson, Tyler Harty, Raymond Vanstone, and Jill Richard, who are able to support me and back me in allowing this opportunity to happen. So without further ado, Aaron, thank you so much. To all the viewers that are watching, thank you so much, and continue to make curling your home. Thank you. And
Thanks
Aaron,
for
thank
having
you.
me, Evan. Yeah.
Okay, take care. Good night, everybody. And we'll see you next week.